You gonna learn to stay in your place, inmate. I run this prison. You don't run shit around here. Now next time I gotta talk to you, it's gonna be a problem. Coming up next, I'm giving y'all a story about two correctional officers I had to teach a very important lesson to. Stay tuned to the Prison Talk Show. What up, what up, what up? We are back. Who am I? Jersey Street Corner, and this is the Prison Talk Show, people. Let's get into it. Now today, this story is going to be about two officers, Officer Johnson and Officer Graves. And let's just say, well, y'all just listen. I'm going to take y'all through it. So, this will happen, or this would start back in lockup. Now, as y'all know, I was in the middle of a lot of bullshit. So, it was common to find me in lockup for a few months at a time. Now, while you're back in lockup, pretty much you have damn near no rights. You are at the mercy of the jail. So, you get limited commissary, you get your 3 meals, and you get no movement. You still can write letters and whatnot, but you get no movement and no phone calls. So, excuse me, y'all. I would regularly go back to lockup, and there was 2 officers that just didn't like me. And every time I would get caught in that situation, I had to deal with them. So, let me just give you an example of the type of things that I would have to deal with. Officer Graves, he would slide my food through the slot in the door. And every single time I would get up to go reach for my food, he'd tip it over right to the floor. Boom. Unedible. Food on the floor, everything. Bread, soup, all that. He would do this to me time and time again. This guy would even have the nerve to say better luck tomorrow before he slammed the door closed on me. The little slot. So I'm like, alright, you know what? I'm just going to take it on the chin, y'all. I just start doing my push-ups, my sit-ups, training my brain that if I don't think about the food, you know, I won't be hungry. Now, of course, y'all, you got trustees and tear sand dudes that'll walk by and they can sneak you a bag of chips or a sandwich or something, slide it under the cell door or something like that. You gotta smash it real thin. Look, it's a hard knock life, y'all. Have you ever eaten a sandwich that was smashed paper thin? Somebody literally has to smash it thin enough to fit under the cell door because, you know, they can't open the slot for the feeding. Anyway, y'all, I will go through this time and time again, and I think it mentally made me who I am today. It gave me the pushback to say, I'm not going with your rules. I don't care what you do to me, what you say to me, I'm not rocking with what you rocking with. So we just gonna have to be at a pass. And it is what it is. Now these officers, they didn't like that I was getting by without their prison food. They didn't like that when they came by and taunted me and said racial slurs to me and called me boy and inner and all types of stuff. I ain't paying them no mind, y'all. I barely lifted my head up. Well, let me tell you something, y'all. These officers, they were pretty diabolical themselves. And that's one thing that they didn't realize about me. I'm just as dangerous on the inside as I am on the outside. I had already hired a private investigator months ago. Yeah, y'all, from the prison. I had somebody hook it up, and I hired a private investigator to follow these officers, find out everything about their life. I want to know where they eat at, where they sleep at, where they hang out at, where they party at, who they sleeping with, what do they do when they leave this prison, and where do they go. So, I'm sitting on a whole bunch of information, y'all. Yeah, I'm just waiting. I'm just waiting to put my plan in motion. So I would take this abuse just a little longer. Just a little longer, y'all. I had to let them think that it was all good. They was getting this off, degrading me and treating me worse than an inmate. So after about 3 months back there in the hole, I would eat, of course, when they weren't there. The other COs would slide me food, of course. They would get me something to eat. But these guys, they wouldn't. So I knew at least 2 nights out of each week that I was back there in the hole, I was going to be suffering. And I had to figure out what I was going to do. The best thing I could do is don't kick up and get out of the hole. So I could have a little freer movement. Now I know y'all like, dang, what will make you go that far to get a private investigator and find out all that information about these officers? Let me tell you, these two officers, not only did they make my life a living hell back in that hole, but they beat my ass. Yeah, y'all. The both of them beat me senseless in that cell one night. And Graves broke my arm pretty much. I never even went to the doctor. They pretty much threw me some stuff to wrap it up myself, like put it in a sling around my neck, and kept me back there in that hole an extra few months to heal. Now, it never healed right. If you see me now, it make a lot of noise when it rains, it creaks, it hurts. Anyway, they took time away from me. They hurt me, y'all. They tried to unalive me. And the lesson that I plan to teach them is a lesson of morality. What do you do? Do you do the moral thing? Now, I know I could just have somebody go unalive them real quick and be done with the whole thing. But nah, that's not enough. I need them to suffer. So I'm going to ruin the both of them. The information that I obtain, let's just say things about to get diabolical. Now, once I would finally get out of the hole, this was maybe, I guess this was about, I don't know, maybe 7 or 8 months before I actually got released and went home. And I still had all that information, y'all. Once I got all the information in my hands, because I couldn't have it mailed into the prison, they would have took that in right away. As soon as they seen the pictures, they would have snatched them out. I had pictures of both of their wives and children. I knew that Officer Graves, his wife, was named Lisa, and they had a little daughter named Tanya. Yeah, y'all. So when things hit the fan, it's going to get real ugly. Now, I would approach the first officer at one of the spots that he frequent. It was a bar. And I go in there, and as soon as I sit down, I tell the bartender, give me your finest bottle of whiskey, 2 clean glasses. And I walk on all over there, slide the chair up from under the bar next to Officer Graves. And now, he didn't even look up. He said, this seat's taken. And I said, no, it's not. No, it's not. Now, he still didn't look up, but I could tell he remembered my voice, y'all. The same voice that been talking shit to him for the last few years. The same voice that vowed, I'm going to get my get back. You gonna see. You gonna see, Officer Graves. One day. He looked up and said, can't be you. Corner? J.S. Corner? What are you doing there? I'm not going to put my real name in the story, y'all. But y'all already know. What are you doing there? You're supposed to be in prison. I'm like, nah. I got released, buddy. Now, he had already retired. He wasn't even working there no more, so he had no idea. He wasn't staying up, what was going on in the prison. That's how come he didn't know. I said, have a drink with me. And he went to go grab it in his coat pocket, and I grabbed his wrist real hard. Stone grip. I said, hey, you don't want to do that. You drunk. You probably shoot yourself in the foot. You don't want to reach for that piece. Just have a drink with me and let's talk. So he grabbed the drink, and he downed that whiskey quick. Ah. And I filled it up again. And he said, why are you doing this? I said, because I can. Because you took something from me that I'll never get back. And now, I'm just gonna take your future from you. He said, what? I pulled the paper, documents out of my inside pocket. I had already had a lawyer draft up a whole, document explaining everything that he had did along with the other officers. It was a confession, y'all. The extortion, the, illegal contraband they was bringing in, everything. The beatings. And he laughed and said, why would I sign that? I'll go to prison if I sign that. I'll lose my family. And I said, that's true. But if you don't sign it, well, let's just say I can't, really be held responsible for what happens after this night. You'll never see me again. And that'll be that. And he just looking, sweating. And I'm like, have another drink. And he have a drink, and he think about it. And he signed the paper. Put it back in my pocket. And I said, you did the right thing. And I walked off and left him there with that bottle. Now I gotta go find the other officer. The other officer, yeah, that's the one that helped. He was the lookout, and he pretty much did whatever Graves told him to do. So, he had a part in beating my ass. I'm gonna have a part in ruining him. Now, Officer Johnson, he was a little harder to get to. He was scary, real scary, so he liked to stay home a lot. Now, by now, Graves had already contacted him and told him to be on the lookout. That he had just signed the confession, and pretty soon, he probably should expect police officers to come and question him about things that were going on in prison that shouldn't have been. And well, Johnson, he was just going to have to be a casualty. Graves wasn't going down by himself, and he damn sure implicated Officer Johnson. Now, like I said, y'all, I already had the private detective, investigator. I already knew where Johnson lived. I was already staking his crib out. I knew sooner or later that fear was going to make him leave that apartment. So I watched and I waited. Then I called from a payphone. I could see his window from the payphone as he looked at the phone ring. And he picked it up, and I ain't say nothing. Just breathe in the phone. And hung up. Just to let him know somebody was there. Somebody was watching. So now he got two choices. Either he stay in that apartment scared for his life, or he come out of that apartment and try and figure out what's going on and get to safety. It didn't really matter. One way or another, I was going to get to him. So all I had to do was send a pizza guy up to his apartment with a pizza, y'all. Had him knock on the door, and Johnson said, I ain't ordered no pizza. Go away. And the pizza guy said, all right, well, maybe somebody else ordered it for you. Whatever, man. I'm just a delivery guy. I'm going to leave it right here on the floor, all right? I'm going to leave it right here in front of the door, all right? Now, Officer Johnson looked out the peephole, And he saw the delivery guy with his uniform on, and he saw the pizza in his hand. So as soon as the delivery guy walked away, Johnson figured, all right, well, I am a little hungry. I'll snatch this pizza up. Now, by the time he had unlocked both of his locks and went to open the door, I had already rushed to the door, y'all. I was right there waiting on the side. Forced my way inside. Put that thing to his forehead and said, I need a few minutes of your time, Officer Johnson. And he looking at me in disbelief, like, what are you doing here? He was also retired. Had no clue that I had been released. And I said, well, I'm sure you know by now that there will be charges pressed against you for the heinous acts you guys committed in the prison. But before that hammer drops on you, I want you to receive my justice. And he like, well, what you talking about, man? What you talking about? I ain't doing. Oh, you ain't do nothing? You didn't participate in breaking my arm? Y'all didn't beat my ass in that cell and drop my food on the floor and curse at me, call me names, derogatory names? You didn't have nothing to do with that? Oh, we gonna see. We gonna see. Smacked him. Bow! Right across his face. Sit down! But, bow! Sit down! Don't make me say it again. I made him do the same thing, y'all. Made him sign a confession. And I said, if you in my city tomorrow, you're going to have more to worry about than just the law. Because I don't forget. I just get back. So fast forward, y'all, both of these officers would be found guilty of their crimes. And lo and behold, they would be sent right back to the same correctional facility where they committed heinous crimes against other inmates. Now they are among inmates considered their peers. Now they have to face justice, prison justice. And things ain't gonna go as good for them as it used to go. When they're on the other side of that gate, now they get to see how it is. When their food gets dropped on the floor, or stolen, or something else gets stolen from them. Now they get to see what they did to people year in and year out. Now they get to follow orders of another officer barking at them. Move, inmate. Lock down, inmate. Up for count, inmate. Yeah. Oh, maybe both of these officers might just end up in the hole. Courtesy of moi. Yeah, y'all. Even if I'm in or out, I still got pulled. I make one phone call and both of y'all be doing hard time in the hole. Yeah. So, let's just say both of these officers learned a well-deserved lesson. Never mess with somebody while they're down. If you're going to try and do something to somebody, do it to somebody while they're standing with their head high. You want to take something from somebody, take it while they can defend themselves. Don't be no punk about it. And that's just how the cards happen to fall for Officer Johnson and Officer Graves. Listen, y'all, that's going to be the end of this story. I can't even get too detailed and graphic with it because, like I said, things can come back to haunt you, and y'all don't want that. So, without further ado, I'm going to get on up out of here. I am your boy, JS Corner. This is the Prison Talk Show, and I'm out.